Yes, and this radiometric dating is the big one, and it's a complicated method, and there are just a number of variables there. And that's where you have to make assumptions one way or the other. So if you have a rock sample, perhaps some of the what you have are parent atoms that are turning into daughter atoms, like carbon 14 turning into nitrogen 14. And so you have to say, well, maybe that rock had some initial daughter atoms in it. So maybe it started out with a parent age, just the way the rock was formed. Uh, uh, and contamination, parent or daughter atoms can move into or out of a rock. The Earth is a very dynamic place, especially rocks in the ground. Water is a great carrier of atoms back and forth. And then, really, Jerry, a lot of it comes down to rates of change. And I know that's always a big one, even in the engineering world. How rapidly do things change? You know, we've had this radiometric dating for about a century now, and we continue to measure half lives, just the lifetime of these kinds of materials. And in this book, Thousand Not Billions, again, we just raised the question, how can we be sure that rates of change, half lives, have always been the same? Maybe they vary. Maybe they speeded up in the past. Maybe they've slowed down in the past. We haven't had that method around very long. So that is another variable, an important one that would control the age value that you finally come up with. So all of these variables are floating around, and I guess we as young Earth people kind of emphasize certain variables and they other ones, and back and forth it goes. Let me simply say that it has not been proved with certainty that the Earth is 4.5 billion years old. The data can be interpreted different ways. Now, a few moments ago, we mentioned distant starlight. That's an interesting area. And that's a challenge for young Earth view because some of these stars and galaxies are millions of light years away or billions of light years. And in our current view, then it takes billions of years for that light to get here. Well, in a young Earth view, that's only 6,000 years old. How can we see distant stars? And my goodness, there's all kinds of complicated things that some of my creation friends have come up with. I tend to take the simplified view. And I would prefer to say, you know, on day number 4, when God makes the sun, moon, and stars, he made them, the stars with their light, thoroughly spread out so that the very first night when Adam and Eve are here, they can look at the sky and see the stars much as we do today. I prefer this whole idea of a mature creation that was made fully functional and developed with stars in all apparent stages of growth, just like the sky that we have today. So it's fine for some of my colleagues to go along with rather technical ways to get starlight here quickly. But again, I kind of like that view of it was just done that way. And you know, Jerry, when you think about the creation week, let's say the Garden of Eden, Adam and Eve are walking around, they would have seen fully grown trees and young trees. They could have kicked at the soil. And, you know, in our view, soil takes time to make it. It's got microbes in it and broken down vegetation. I think the Garden of Eden was fully functional and developed. That's the only kind of creation I can think of, something that was done and ready to go and not in an immature state. And I think likewise for the heavens, that it was made much as we see it today. So these things can be talked about. See, this whole age of the earth goes round and round, and it is important, and it's an emotional issue with lots of implications.